Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the GamePodular Unfocused podcast. I'm your host, Scott, and with me, as always, is the wonderful Seskra. How you doing today, Seskra?
I am doing absolutely magnificent. Thank you for asking.
That's good to hear.
And how about yourself?
Yeah, it's a bit warm at the moment. I understand it's a bit cold where you are at the moment.
Yep.
So hopefully maybe meet in the middle. But no, I've just been generally good. Just trying to relax, trying to play some games. That's the name of the game, which is good. But nothing really wild exciting on my end. Nothing wild exciting on your end, or
Nothing that my lawyers have advised me to talk about in public.
Nice. Yes, got to keep them happy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's get into this. Now, before we do, I'll just remind everyone that we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/GamePodular. If you can throw us a few dollar dues, just make sure you do take care of yourself first, as we always say. We also do have a Ko-fi. If you'd like to give us a couple of dollar dues for a cup of coffee. We do also stream on twitch.com/GamePodular. I know, Seska, you've been doing some Hollow Knight, which has been exciting.
That's right, yeah. Doing a Hollow Knight randomizer run. Next stream of which will be tomorrow at time of recording, so stay tuned.
Nice. And if you can't catch the Twitch stream, you can get the full stream on youtube.com/@GamePodular. If you're just looking for the highlights, you can go @GamePodular stream highlights. And we also have a lively Discord community you can interact with, and you can find all this information on our website, GamePodular.com. All right, let's go to what we've been playing during the past month.
Let's.
I'm actually going to start off that this first game I've been playing. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I'll just say what got me to bite the bullet and purchase it. It was also on special as well. Is the next game I'll be playing. I won't spoil that. But the first game I've just been recently playing, is Horizon Forbidden West. This is a sequel to the Horizon Zero Dawn by Guerrilla Games.
Mm-hmm.
This was supposed to be I don't know if it's supposed to be a PS5 launch title, but it was one of those initial titles that was going to be for the PS5. And then they announced that it was also going to be, this was very early in the PS5 era, this is also going to be on for the PS4. So that been interesting, because I remember them saying with the PlayStation, well, we're not going to be focusing on backwards our previous
consoles, yeah.
Focusing on what's new. But I think with the initial sellout and people aren't able to get them, they sort of had to rely on the original PS4.
Yep.
And it's sounding like history somewhat repeating itself, with the rumors going on that the PS6 is looking to be delayed, just because of all the RAM and storage shortages.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not fun. Also, the fact that I sort of feel like the PS5 hasn't really hit its stride yet. But actually, that's that. But no, I've only just been playing this for the last week, so I am very early on with this game. 'Cause, 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 So I've only there's a I'm only able to the first sort of there's initial tutorial section where you're playing along with another person and just going through a couple of forest ruins, just trying to familiarize yourself with the game, how the mechanics works. This sort of it's sort of like, say, like Breath of the Wild. Well, this came up beforehand. Well, the Horizon Zero Dawn came beforehand. But your main sort of attacks are sort of a spear attack and bow and arrow, which sort of bow and arrow is what you use. You're mainly going around and fighting huge robotic creatures, like, robotic bulls, robotic dogs. I don't know if this was in the original one, but there are robotic weasels.
I've like, maybe they're still hiding somewhere in the DLC, but no, I do not remember seeing any weasels.
Yeah, no, they're pretty fun. So going through the game, this new intro section introduces everything, and I remember they actually introduced a new mechanic, which is sort of a I would say like a hook shot. Horizon, the original game, was notoriously you've got certain sections that you can climb with yellow paint. This one you can sort of it assists you, like you can actually use this to sort of not only just if you jump off a ledge and see something that's like yellow you can hook onto, you can just zip onto that, which is pretty cool. Like not as cool as say like something like Spider-Man, which is sort of used to, but got to get into that. But yeah, so that introduced that, and then you just get introduced into the whole. I would say probably the first 10%. You're sort of it's sort of this interesting where sort of you got to get down this big elevator, and you've there's a couple of war tribes just there's a bit of they're having a bit of a fight. Someone's released a whole bunch of robotic enemies, so you got to sort of deal with them. Yeah, it's been a while. Look, it's been a while since I played the original one. It is somewhat familiar. So the idea is that you can actually, when you're attacking enemies, you can full head on with a spear or the bow and arrow. But ideally, you'd want to do it in sort of like a stealth mode. And with the stealth mode, you can actually just pinpoint certain parts of an enemy. And that way, then they can sort of fall out like a robot's horns or the back power bank that can sort of go off. And with that, it's sort of preferable. You can do silent kills, but it's also preferable to sort of knock bits off them so you can collect them, so you can use those to sort of like upgrade your weapons. You get but I've been trying to there's one annoying thing, barbed wire, that you use for like upgrade your bows. And it's like a 10% chance it'll actually be, if you normally attack an enemy, it's a 10% chance it'll drop. So the odds are a little bit high if you actually target specific parts of a robot. So I've been trying to get through those. I believe a new thing to this, because I remember in the original game you had, I believe it was like like electric like bow and like I'm not sure if like a fire and an ice bow.
You had to fire and ice,
Yeah. In this one, there is an actual acid one, an acid bow. So you can use the specific enemies that have already got acid on them, like sort of like jars of acid on them. So if you attack that, it'll pretty much explode on them and like take out now like 90% of their health. But yeah, so there's a couple of new mechanics with those. I remember with the original, because I've been spoiled by Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, being able to just climb up any sort of surface, and then just glide down. I remember in the original Horizon, you do, as I was saying, you got specific yellow paint structures that you use to climb up things. This game, what they do, it's not yellow paint, but there's a focus mode where you can use those to focus on, like, say, like a specific, to say, if you press the focus button, you can see what things you can pick up, like, say, like like herbs or tree bark to create arrows. But you can also use that to actually look up walls, like climbable walls, and you can see there'll be actually like little yellow strips that are highlights. So there's a lot more climbable walls in this game.
I like that it shows up in the focus mode because, yeah, in the first one, there's definitely a couple times when actually determining which ledge on this rock face is the climbable bit could be really tricky.
Yeah. No, it's definitely fixed from that. There are still yellow structures, like a yellow wood paneling that will show you. But it just leaves a little bit a lot cleaner. Now you're just able to use the focus mode. And it knows once you go into focus mode and look at that, then it'll stay on there. And then once you climb that up, then it'll just leave and you just press the focus mode again.
Right.
To do it there. I do remember there was an annoying thing with the original game where you couldn't. There was a certain amount you could only have what's in your inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a stash box, and with that, like if you're going around, you're collecting like medical berries, because you get berries you can use. Then once you get in your inventory, and if that's all filled up, then whatever you collect, it just goes into your stash box.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, you can just collect as much as you can, and then just when you go to certain villages, they'll always have a stash box or like a workbench. Yeah, there you'll be able to just collect up there. But no, I've been enjoying it. It is sort of a little bit difficult trying to get back in, just because I'm sort of not only with like Breath of the Wild, but also Spider-Man, with the traversal. But it is interesting. I'm trying to trying to attack enemies. You've actually got this new thing called a Valor system, which is sort of works like a final smash. You sort of build up this energy bar, your Valor bar, and you can unlock. You've got certain trees for you to unlock your abilities, and with those trees, you've got Valor perks. And so one might be like you go into like a limited time cloak mode, or you'll get one where you get like serious like health buffs.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one. The current one I got equipped is the one that sort of increases my bow damage, which is cool. But yeah, so you can do that, and you actually get Valor points by just normally attacking enemies. But if you like stealth kill an enemy, or if you remove a lot of parts of an enemy, you get you get more Valor points. So I encourage you to play different ways,
right,
to increase that. Yeah, but it's just fun to do. As I said, I'm only about like the first 10% of the game, I would say. I'm enjoying my time. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I did actually look a little bit ahead. In regards to traversal, I did find there's actually a glider, as akin to say like
the Far Cry 3 gliders, or
I think like Breath of the Wild glider.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, those are definitely welcome, because like the first game just had zip lines, which
yeah,
this is a lot more open.
yeah. There's a lot more. Apparently, it's a lot more vertical in this game. Also, apparently, you can. I didn't realize you couldn't. You can swim underwater in this game, where in the original you couldn't.
Yeah, not really. Like you could submerge for like stealth swimming, but you couldn't actually like swim down at all. There was no verticality to the swimming.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I said it's been a while since I played it, but no, I am enjoying my time. I just recently picked up Final Fantasy VII for Switch 2, and so I got to weigh my time playing that and also this. But I am going to keep it on with this, and yeah, I'm enjoying my time.
Hell yeah!
Now, for something a bit more of a bit of a jazz. You've been playing some Jackrabbit 2. How's that gone for you?
It's been wonderful. Like, full cards on the table, people. I'm incredibly nostalgic about this game. I do think it's good in its own right. Absolutely, and I'm going to talk about that, but I'm not going to deny that this is very nostalgic for me because I did the math to the best of my recollection. This was the 6th game I ever played. So it got in very early.
Wow. I can't even remember the 6th game I played. I remember the first one was Super Mario Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second one was Super Mario 3. That's all I can remember.
Yeah. Like, getting the exact chronology right took a lot of memory, and it definitely kind of crumbles after the first 10. But if you're curious, the lead up to this, my first game, Secret Agent, then Commander Keen 2, then Catacomb 3D, Terminal Velocity, Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, and then number 6, Jazz Jackrabbit 2.
Oh, so, yeah. I'm seeing a summer theme here.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, for those unfamiliar, Jazz Jackrabbit, it's a 2D PC platformer series made by Epic, or as they were known at the time, Epic Mega Games, back in the 90s. The first one is kind of a cult classic that had some issues. This, the sequel from 1998, irons out a lot of the kinks. It is gorgeous to look at. The art style is, like, it is pixel art, but it's like 32-bit, very nice for its era pixel art. Like, starting to blur that line into, like, you wouldn't even call it pixel art anymore. And, okay, the music. I have to talk about the music. If you're not familiar, the composer for Jazz Jackrabbit 2 is Alexander Brandon, who I've sung his praises before. He also did the music, some of the music in Head and Bloodright. But at the time, Alexander Brandon was on fire. Like, this is him right in between doing the music for Unreal and Deus Ex. And Jazz Jackrabbit 2 slots in perfectly in between those. Like, you could make an unbroken symphony of the music of those 3 games back to back, and it would feel seamless. It's incredible, like, techno all the way down. The synths are off the chain. I love it so much. I have been humming this soundtrack to myself for most of my literal actual life, given how early I first played this. It's just astonishingly good music. The artwork is also like really striking. The opening and closing cutscenes, which themselves were kind of rare back in 1998, starting to get there, but still kind of a rare sight. Animated by Dean Dodrell. And if that name sounds familiar to you, that's because he would later make Dust and Elysian Tale. So,
okay.
Yeah, that man started animating rabbits and just never stopped doing it. It's also a little bit of a point of national pride. Jazz Jackrabbit 2, mostly developed by a Dutch team. I've been trying to look up the developmental history of this, because the lead programmer was Arjan Brousset, who also was lead programmer on the first one. And from what I gather, he gathered up a little bit of a team for the sequel. So it was mostly Dutch, with a couple of Americans in there, such as Alexander Brandon, and lead designer, a little known fella you might have heard of, pops up every now and then in the industry. This young upstart by the name of Cliff Bleszinski. And dunking on
Tim Sweeney.
Yeah, they're dunking on their boss. It's so good.
Oh.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
It's a 2D platformer. The first game was kind of like a not great Sonic the Hedgehog riff, with the addition of just a gun that had a couple different kinds of ammo. This game, less Sonic-y, but actually still really works a lot with speed. Like, playing Jazz casually is a lot of fun. Speed running it is a completely different experience, and watching people competitively race this game is honestly amazing. This game still has an online scene, actually. And speaking of which, when I reinstalled this game for this episode, like I'm gonna play through this, I saw something I had never seen before. The update screen. Because there was an update for this game that released this month.
Oh.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see that. But yeah, at some point, like after the Good Old Games release of this game, that particular version at least, Epic seems to have more or less like relinquished any involvement other than getting royalties. The actual maintenance of it seems to have been taken over by a group that I think is called Project 2, and they released a patch for it like this year, updating things like the netcode for the multiplayer and expanding memory limits for the level editor, which, side note, this game came with a level editor at a time when that was actually very rare, and especially for 2D platformers was very rare. It was called the Jazz Creation Station, and to this day, it is what my brain thinks of when I think of level editors. Like, I remember seeing the stage editor in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and saying like, oh yeah, it's like the Jazz Creation Station. And my brother just looked at me and went, you are the only person in the universe who would make that comparison. And I'm like, I probably am, but I'm not wrong. Yeah. Yeah. It's a very straightforward formula for Jazz Jackrabbit 2. Like, there's 4 episodes, 5 if you get the Secret Files Expanded Edition. And each episode is this batch of 3 or 4 themes, like castle, jungle, Victorian, fire, ice, literal hell. And you get sort of 2 levels per theme that sort of iterate on it, and then you have a boss fight at the end of the episode, and you move on. Originally, there's only 2 playable characters. I played this game for most of my life with the 2 main characters. There's Jazz, the titular green rabbit, who was also in the first one. And then there is his younger brother, Spaz. Can you tell it was the 90s?
Yes.
Yeah. Who controls slightly differently. Like, Jazz, when you try to do a double jump with Jazz, he has this little, like, cute helicopter thing he does with his bunny ears. It's sort of like how Tails can fly by rotating his tails. In the Sonic games, Jazz can sort of hover by, like, rotating his ears, I guess. And he has this big, like, uppercut. Spaz does this, like, instead of the uppercut, he's got a forward, like, kung fu, like, baseball kick slide. Baseball slide kick. And he can actually outright double jump. But there was an expansion, as I mentioned, The Secret Files, which was released the next year, I believe, that I never had as a kid growing up, but it added the 3rd playable character, Lori, Jazz's and Spaz's sister, who I suspect was like, if you couldn't tell that Dean Dodrill made Dustin Elysian Tale before, seeing Lori just looks like a prototype character for that game. I'm not gonna lie, like, it's yeah, and she sort of splits the difference. She's got she's got a complete own animation set, which is really cool. But moves wise, she's got the karate kick and the bunny ear helicopter, which actually kind of makes her the hardest character to play as, because it means she doesn't have the uppercut or the double jump. So ascending vertically is a little tricky for her. It's doable, but there's 1 or 2 spots in the game that get surprisingly tight because you need to build up a lot of momentum in order to get the height you need on very small platforms. But it all works out. I breezed through this game in about 3.5 hours on medium difficulty while just streaming it to some friends. If you're familiar with the game, you can probably, and you're actually like trying to sort of speedrun it, you can probably beat this game in under an hour. That's not a criticism. The multiple different characters do actually kind of have different routes and such that they can take through the levels. So there is a good amount of replay value, and I think a first-time player would probably spend closer to 5 or 6 hours. Probably 5, yeah, 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And people kind of clown on this game a little bit because it was not released at a time that was very conducive to itself. Like, you think mascot platformer 2D, you're thinking, the Super Nintendo era, and maybe sort of stretching into, like, things like the Neo Geo or the Sega Genesis, etc. But this is 1998. Like, Epic was releasing Unreal that same year. So it feels a little bit like a game lost in time, but it is genuinely a very, very good entry into its own genre, and that was kind of a thing. Like, people forget this. The late 90s, the early days of 3D was actually also a lot of 2D, like, having its real banger swan songs. Like, Jazz had it for the 2D platformers. Final Fantasy VI, it was released on the PlayStation, if memory serves. But it was re-released on the PlayStation. Sorry, I'm confusing it with Dragon Quest. Yes, sorry.
Oh.
That was a Dragon Quest game released the same year as Final Fantasy VII. That was still fully 2D, and it was really good. It was amazing, and of course, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Like,
yeah.
You could tell that the tide was shifting towards 3D, but 2D was really determined to go out on a high note. I don't think that was necessarily what the team were planning on when they made this. I think Cliff Bleszinski just likes this weird green rabbit he made and managed to trick his boss into making a sequel. But the end result is really charming and such an incredible vibe because of the vibrant level design and the incredible music. And you can still get it right now. It's on GOG. Has been since like 2017. For some reason, it's only on Windows, and I only bring this up because the first Jackrabbit is also on GOG for Windows, Mac, and Linux. And Jazz 2 did have a Mac release, as in like classic Mac in like 1999, but for whatever reason, there is no Mac version now on Good Old Games. I don't know if that has anything to do with the multiplayer, because this game had online multiplayer in an era when that was very unusual. And thanks to these and thanks to patches by the ongoing fan support, you can still play Jazz online, and it's fun. It's honestly a good time. It's a little bit you got to jump through a few hoops here and there in order to get it set up. But it's very, very smooth. Like, the Jazz 1 was noted for being extremely smooth for a PC platformer of the era because it was all running off CPU. Like, it was all software rendered. There was no like hardware rendering going on yet. But it was really smooth, and that carried over into Jazz 2. So it feels very, like, intense and very visceral and very chaotic in a very fun way. It's just a great time. Like, this is a game I keep coming back to every once in a while as just like a little bit of comfort food, and I don't think I'm ever going to stop doing that. The music is too good. The levels are too flavorful. They have cute gags all the way through. It's mostly bug-free nowadays. Like, there's one or two moments here and there where you might get stuck on some level geometry, in which case, number one, you can save whenever you want, so just save at the start of every level, you'll be fine. And number two, there's cheats, and they're not hard to find. I remembered them from when I was a kid. I got that that stuff's just like branded into like my amygdala. But yeah, if you do get stuck, you could just use the no clip or the fly or any of the morph, because there's so much stuff in the game that they just added kind of on a whim, like including like a secret weapon that's only available through cheats and not in the game proper. It's yeah.
Nice. Is the music sorry, is the music CD or MIDI?
It's CD, and it's
nice.
Very solid. Yeah, it's very solid. Like, if memory serves, Epic did release a like 20 years of Epic music CD at some point. And if memory serves, I say most, like about a quarter of that was Jackrabbit, because they just keep putting out bangers for this. I say keep putting out. This franchise has lain extremely dormant since this game. They were working on a sequel, Jackrabbit 3D, which was going to run off of the first ever iteration of the Unreal Engine. That never actually finished. That didn't actually materialize. And I did find a few scattered suggestions here and there that Dean Dodrell was hoping to get like a 2D Jackrabbit sequel off the ground after they canceled the 3D version, but that like super never materialized. Like the 3D one, we there's a leaked demo you can find. We could see what that was going to look like. The Dean Dodrell 2D sequel, I don't think ever actually made it out of the like concept art stage or anything like that. But I want a sequel to this. I want this so bad. Like, I feel like Jackrabbit fans are starving for something like this, because there really isn't a whole lot like this. There aren't a lot of platformers that incorporate speed to this extent, that feel this smooth, that aren't Sonic. And even with Sonic, it's like, the first two levels are good, and after that it becomes a little bit of a coin toss. So yeah. Highly recommend to people who haven't played it. It's always extremely cheap and goes on sale basically every day that ends in Y. So give it a shot if you haven't tried it already. Let me know what you think, and then let me know what you think about Secret Agent and Catacomb 3D and all the others.
Oh, good old games.
Hashtag non-spawn.
No, I'm just having a look. I do remember the very first Jackrabbit, because it was always on the DOS demo discs.
Mm-hmm.
So I only played, I think it was, I don't know if it was one level or a couple levels. I do remember it being very fast. I'm just having a look at the screenshots of the Jackrabbit 2, and just the quality of it's just so much increased. And I'm also looking at some leaked shots for Jackrabbit 3D. All I'm just saying is that I think this would have been a lot better than Buzzbee 3D.
It's a low bar, but yes, you're not wrong. Like, that bar is down below in a rabbit burrow.
Well, going from theoretical 3D platformers to actual 3D platformers, the second game I have been playing, and what actually inspired me to get Horizon Forbidden West, is Astrobot.
Mm-hmm.
This is I didn't realize there's actually 5 games in the series.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, okay. Yeah. So 3 of them are they're effectively tech demos.
Yeah, I remember Astro's Playroom.
That was for the PS5. Charming as all heck. But apparently there's 3 on the PlayStation 4. There's the Playroom, excuse me, where it sort of introduces you if you had the PlayStation 4 camera.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of how it just sort of play test with that. Then it's the Playroom VR with use of the PlayStation VR, and then there's actually an Astrobot rescue mission. I believe that was actually a proper release that actually used the PlayStation VR. But no, I've been playing. I played this. It is wild how I mean, you think of like you think 3D platformers. Obviously, the first one just goes to your head is Mario.
Mm-hmm.
But just for what Sony normally puts out, Horizon, Spider-Man, God of War. For them to release something like this, it's incredible. I'll say. The story of this story is charming. You are Astrobot. You are on a little ship which is the PlayStation 5. That gets captured by a little alien wearing a UFO on the bottom, and they throw components out, and so you've got to go ahead. You got to get the CPU. You got to get the GPU, the cooling fan, the memory. And so you do this by completing. Levels, obviously. Charming as all heck. These levels are about 76 levels, split up into 5 sections. They're sort of denoted by what boss they have. You'll get ones that are just it's just lush and just, I wouldn't say simplistic, but it is on the simpler side. As I say, like nothing too high complexity, like something like the later Mario titles, say like Mario Odyssey. But it's just charming. Astrobot is just, they can punch, they can they've got a jump, and then they've got a sort of a hover jump which shoots lasers underneath their feet. And you can use that not only just to hover around, but also used to defeat enemies. And there'll be certain enemies that you can't actually defeat by your hands. You've actually got to use your feet to laser feet to actually destroy them. You'll go around, you'll collect PlayStation coins as a currency. Because what it is that there's a middle desert planet that you have to actually, where your PlayStation has ended up, and you got to rebuild it. When you go around these levels, you've got certain things you can collect coins, but you've also got 2 other sort of collectibles that you collect. You got puzzle pieces, which unlocks certain things in the main desert level in the middle. And you've also got little other Astrobots that you rescue. There's about 300 of them initially when you get to the end of the game. Now, some of them are just your standard, like, goofy Astrobots doing a random thing. They're getting stuck up in a tree, and they're getting scared by little enemies down on the ground, or they got stuck in a hole or something. But then you've got other ones where they are what's called VIP ones, and they resemble PlayStation characters and also other characters of other franchises like Final Fantasy, Resident Evil. I believe there's the other one I was thinking, Yakuza. So a little charming them, and the way it works is that when you can actually use those to actually get around the middle desert level to get around to certain sections. So it's like, if it's funny. It's like this one needs it's too high up. Okay, you need 50 of these little Astrobots, and what they'll do, they'll actually they'll link up together and create like a vertical platform which you can run up. Or there'll be ones where they'll create a bridge, or they'll help you lift up like a big object. So it's charming as heck, really charming as heck. What I like about this Astrobot is that you play a level, and if you didn't collect everything, you go back to the level, and then you can actually get a little bird robot at the start of the level. And this little bird robot, it costs 200 coins. But what it'll do, it'll actually follow you around, and then when it detects that something's like a collectible is close by, it'll actually holler you, saying, "Ooh, beep 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 beep." So it sort of incentivizes you. It tells you that you can actually go ahead and go back to the level and collect everything, but it also sort of incentivizes you to go, "I want to collect everything in this level first off. I don't want to have to go back and waste 200 coins." Because with the 200 coins, you can actually, when you go back to the middle desert level, you actually use those to get sort of like one of those there's a gacha game mechanics, where it's like a slot like you put a coin in and then it comes out like a little like one of those toys in like a plastic container.
Right.
And then those ones they'll be like little you'll get those to unlock other little Astrobots to go around the level, but they're also used to actually unlock costumes, or you can unlock colors for your ship. So it's fun with that. So you can customize it. Like you can be the Bloodborne guy. There's a costume for the Bloodborne guy. Yeah. There's one for Demon Souls. Yeah.
All your favorites, so long as they're from FromSoft.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I just thought I'd mention that. But there's other ones. Like Sly Cooper, Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank. I was actually getting a little bit worried because I didn't. Well, I was thinking, where is Knack from the famous Knack series? I think, have they completely forgotten Knack? But no, it was like pretty much at the end that Knack, the Astrobot, was there. So I'm like,
sorry.
Phew.
In the same way that I'm the only person in the world who would compare it to a jazz creation station, I think you might be the only person in the world who would ask, where's Knack?
Where's Knack?
When Knack is not on screen, people should be asking, where's Knack?
Where? Doing these levels, you can actually, there'll be certain abilities that you can get, like for the playing level, there's like a monkey climber where you get 2 extended arms and you can use those to sort of collect, like grab on the ledges. Barkster, the bulldog booster, which is pretty much just a robot dog that just is a rocket that propels you forward. You got boxing gloves that are little frogs. Yeah, there's even one that's a mouse suit, which I think it was only used for one level, where you just shrink down in size. And then there's there's also actually the weirdest one is a sponge power up where you actually become a sponge Astrobot, and you get into water and you expand and use that to completely demolish the place, and then you can actually use it to shoot water and go back down. The boss fights are pretty cool. There's just your standard it's like a big monkey one. Like having a look at the monkey one, it's like I'm getting Donkey Kong Bonanza vibes from this. There's a snake one, chameleon one, and I noticed in the game, when you actually go into that full state where you gotta sort of whack him, you're always whacking him in the eyes.
Ouch!
Which is just like poking, like
that's hateful.
Yeah, that's a poke in the eye. That's not nice. Like, come on. But after you defeat beat these levels, you'll rescue a prominent PlayStation character, Astrobot, and then you play as them in the next in sort of the final level of that world. And so one's like there's one for Ape Escape. Shout out to Ape Escape.
Yeah, Ape Escape. There's a franchise that needs a sequel.
Yes. Oh yes. Oh, that was fun. That one you actually have to look around and try and actually search for other apes. Like an actual, it actually plays like Ape Escape. There's a Kratos one. There's a there's a Nathan Drake one from Uncharted.
Of course.
There's a Loco Roco one. Which is wild. That was the one that was on the PSP where you had to use the shoulder buttons to sort of rotate the level.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
That's a neuron that is not fired in like a decade and a half. Wow.
Yeah. And the final one, it was the Horizon level where you play as Aloy. And that is what got me to actually go, oh, I wonder if Forbidden West is on sale. Yes, it is. I'll go get it. So that's what made me get it.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I gotta say, like, actually, I played both of these Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West, and Astrobot on PlayStation 5 Pro. Looks like it looks stunning. Like it's the amount of grass, like the amount of like fake grass, the water effects, and it just looks amazing.
Mhm.
His graphics. But no, I enjoyed my time with Astrobot. I did think the like a constant reminder of like the PlayStation brand. Did get a little tedious sometimes. I do understand like something like Nintendo. Like this is sort of like if Nintendo made a Smash Brothers 3D platformer, effectively. Like that sounds awesome, but it's sort of I don't know, sort of like a bit too corporate. If that I don't know if that makes
I see
sense.
what you mean. Yeah, like it's well made and it's charming, but it's also explicitly like, wow, Kratos from popular franchise God of War, what are you doing here on sale?
Exactly. But no, I definitely enjoy my time with it. And if you got a PlayStation 5, yeah, I would say give it a shot. I hope this gets released on PC like all the other PlayStation games. I'm doubtful, but I really do hope it does.
Maybe by the time the PS6 comes out.
Hmm. Now, from that PlayStation franchise to another PlayStation franchise, you've been playing some. Hang on, wait a minute. If I got my notes right, Horizon Zero Dawn?
Yup. I submitted a poll to a Discord server and made the mistake of trusting in democracy. Yeah, I gave the people 10 options, and Horizon Zero Dawn was the winner. To my delight, it turns out I wasn't kidding when I said it's all interconnected today. Because, backing up to Jackrabbit 2 for a sec, you'll notice I said the lead programmer on that was Arjan Brousse. The other Dutch programmer on that was a fine gentleman by the name of Michiel van der Leeuw, who is in fact the lead programmer for Horizon Zero Dawn.
Nice.
Yeah, because Arjan Brousse founded Orange Games, which eventually merged with other games to become Guerrilla Games. He is in fact like a studio founder for all intents and purposes of Guerrilla Games. So we've been here the whole time. Yeah, I've been playing it. Like Horizon, I picked it up ages ago, just hadn't gotten around to it. And now that it won the poll, I was like, all right, let's give it a go. And it's been a long time since I played one of these like big open world AAA titles. The last one that really kind of hooked me was Far Cry 3, but it's been like many a year since I tried this one, and there are things I like about it. Like it's a like for 2017, it was a very very pretty world, and even still, it is still very nice to look at. Like it's a like the vibe they're going for with this very distinct like post apocalypse. Like you get like people are properly rebuilding now already after whatever happened in the world has happened and come and gone. Like it's distinctive, and it's nice that we're getting away from pure gunplay into something that relies on something like say the bow. But I don't know, like it hasn't really gripped me. Like there's a couple things that just sort of stand out to me as like kind of underwhelming. Like firing the bow mostly works fine. It's a little weird how leading your shots never works and seems to be a bad idea. I think the bow is actually a hit scan weapon from what I can tell, which is weird because it's a bow and this game has a slow-mo function. So you would think that you would be able to lead your shots against moving targets, but no. Melee combat is dire. I'm just gonna say it. It's kind of the worst part of the game. Like,
yeah,
you have a light attack and you have a heavy attack. There's no combos. There's no parry. There's no blocking. There's no special attacks. You have a light attack, a heavy attack, and you can dodge roll, and that's it. It's very underwhelming. So keep your distance if you can. Use the bow if you can.
Yeah.
And like I was curious about Aloy as a character, because I went into this game pretty much unspoiled for, like, the story and the plot and the characterization and all of that, so I was curious to see how that would play out. I think Ashley Birch, the voice actress for Aloy, does good work with what she's given.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they give her much. Like, most of what Aloy says in the game are pointing out the thunderously obvious, or just reiterating the thing that other people just said. Like, people sort of make fun of, like, Metal Gear Solid for doing that, a character will say something and then the other character will just repeat the most important word from the previous sentence, like Metal Gear, a hind D. But at least there, it's like one or two words. Aloy's stick seems to be just rephrasing the entire previous sentence and then saying it again in full, which feels very like we're padding out the script. But yeah. Actually exploring the world as just a big open playground to go through is probably the game's strongest aspect. Like, it kind of lacks a hook, but they made like, if you enjoy the kinds of games like, say, Far Cry 3, or say even something like Skyrim, like, where you just go around, find something interesting to do, you go do it, you check it out, you get a little rewards, you craft some things, you move on. This game has a pretty decent loop built along those lines, but I found myself kind of getting exhausted by it all. For context, dear listener, I've been playing this game for 40 hours at this point. Like, I've been making a point to see everything, do everything. I filled in the whole map. I've gone to the DLC. I've made my way through a good chunk of the story. And there is kind of a point where I realized that a lot of what was there wasn't really like calling to me anymore. There was, like, initially there were things where, like, oh yeah, a giant robot dinosaur and I can climb it and then it exposes a bit of the map. That's cool. So the next time I saw one, I was like, yeah, immediately gonna go for that. By the end, I say by the end, I'm still playing, but like 40 hours in, I no longer really get excited about anything along those lines. Because a lot of the rewards you get are kind of deeply underwhelming. Like, the one that stands out to me is there's big, like, collectathon quests. Like, find 4 of this particular kind of artifact that are scattered all over the map, bring them back to this one merchant, sell the whole set, he'll give you something cool. There's like 4 or 5 different versions of that in the game. For different kinds of collectibles. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I've picked up a bunch of these already. I can find a couple more, bring it back. That's going to be really cool, right? Because it forces you to look all over the map, really, like, poke your head around in nooks and crannies. What's it going to be? And the answer is a loot box filled with a bunch of smaller loot boxes that contain weapon mods that are worse than the ones I already have. And the fact that it's worse than what I already have, that could be my fault. Like, that could just be I've been doing too much side questing. I found too many other things already. Maybe they expect at this point in the game this is still a good reward. So, jury's out on that one. But the fact that they explicitly frame it as a randomized box that you open up makes it feel like they don't care. Like, they being the devs. Like, I'm not getting the sense that this is a really cool, unique reward for this hard quest I did. I get the sense that, like, the game decided I needed a treat, so it, like, pulled something off the shelf without looking. It was not a very satisfying reward. So, yeah. Like, I do really want to stress, other than the melee combat and some of the writing, there's nothing in this game that I would describe as truly bad. Like, this is, by and large, a well-made game. I just think it kind of lacks a real strong hook that, because normally I'm just not a big open world person in general, but the games that I do like in the genre have a uniting element that's very strong that keeps me invested the whole way through. And this game kind of struggles with that. It doesn't really have like, oh, the movement feels so good that I'm fine with it, or they made a world that's so vivid. Like, by way of comparison, I really like Far Cry 3. I kind of detest all of the writing and the story in Far Cry 3, but prowling through the jungle on your way to an enemy settlement, not noticing that a cassowary is right behind you and is about to eat your face, is fun, is engaging, is dynamic. And this game comes close to that, but doesn't actually like do it so well that I like relish the experience. Like when I play Far Cry 3, I played without fast travel, like out of principle, because the game world is so much fun to just travel through that I don't want to deprive myself that experience. In this game, you start off with fast travel being a limited resource, and I still did it on the regular just because after a while, I just got sick of stomping through the same fields over and over. Enemy variety probably has something to do with that. There's about 20 different kinds of robots, and as me and one of my friends sort of broke down the other week, it kind of, like, most of those robots break down into, like, 3 categories. Like, it's either a robot herbivore, a robot carnivore, or a robot bird. And when I say carnivore and herbivore, I basically just mean, like, some variant on, like, does it have hooves, or is it some kind of a dog? And sometimes there are elementally charged versions of them. And that's a very small selection, ultimately. And then there's human enemies that also have, like, 3 variants, and that's it. You got heavies, you got snipers, and you got normal ones who might have elemental traits. The wildlife isn't hostile at all. Like, all of the animals are just there to be hunted. There's no Far Cry-esque element of, like, you're hunting a boar and the boar has decided to now hunt you, and that's a problem because it's a wild boar. Like, none of that. Yeah. If this game had something that could really stand out, like, oh, good world design, or maybe something like another game that comes to mind in comparing it is Nier Automata, which is also post-apocalyptic and, like, in a world filled with a bunch of robots. So I was like, how does it stack up to that? And Nier Automata, whatever you want to say about it, and I have a lot to say about it, most of which is gushing praise, that game is incredible writing. And, like, really goes for it and is not afraid to throw massive twists. Like, that's a game so confident in its presentation, it does the opening credits 10 hours into the game. Like, that game is not afraid to really take the player on a journey in terms of the story. And here I found the story very underwhelming a lot of the time. Like, for one thing, it's very thinly stretched out. But then once you actually get to, like, the morsels that are there of what actually happened, what is the apocalypse that we are now post enduring, it's very banal. It's very, that's how that would play out. It's not really gripping me. And not to give spoilers, but again, in Nier Automata, the history of how we got here is a lot clearer and more concise because it's not stretched out. And also, the game then actually throws a big twist at you. Maybe there's still a twist coming in Horizon. I would like that. I haven't finished the game yet, but 40 hours in, I'm not expecting it to suddenly get very good in that regard. But yeah. I probably sound a little bit more negative than I mean to in this one. It's just that most of this game to me feels like a 6.5 out of 10, and then occasionally it bumps up into like a 7.5, for certain bits and
Hmm.
pieces. So I'm gonna finish it, and maybe next episode I'll let you know like if it picks up again. But by this point, I think the main reason I'm gonna finish it is just like sunk cost fallacy and wanting to see it
Yeah.
through. Yeah, like by the sounds of it, they do address a couple things in the sequel, as you mentioned, because
Hmm.
things like climbing around, I don't mind the yellow paint thing at all. I think the people who make a big deal out of that are whiny babies, like
Yep.
to put it simply.
Yep.
But this game does actually have an issue where even with that, sometimes it can just be hard to tell where to climb because some of the areas get very aggressive with color filtering. So
Hmm.
you'd be like, I guess that would be yellow in normal lighting, but we're indoors and it's dark and there's like 50% more blue than there normally would be here. So that's just orange, my guy. Oh, and I just reminded myself, for whatever reason, even though I'm playing on the PC version with a bunch of graphical options you wouldn't have in the PlayStation version, you can't turn off bloom. And there's a lot of it. This game has more bloom in it than the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. It's a little ridiculous and it's very aggressive. Like, it could be very hard to actually see through the haze of a light source to try and target the enemy you're actually looking to shoot. I wish I could turn it off. Like I'm not saying it's a deal breaker, but it's very weird that even in the PC version you cannot turn that off cuz frankly every game since like 2002 has let me turn off bloom. So it's very strange to see something this modern that
Yeah.
feels the need to hide that. I don't know. I you know, I think Guerrilla Games had a vision. Like I'm not like this isn't a safe sort of simple cash in. That like they were pretty much only known for the Killzone franchise prior to this, which, as I understand
Yep.
it, are actually pretty darn good shooters. And like the Killzone series was sort of like a solid B tier PlayStation franchise. So I get that like okay, we're gonna go big or go home. We're gonna try and get up into the A tier alongside
Hmm.
your God of Wars and your Ratchet and Clanks. So I don't begrudge them yet. That sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, yeah, the Killzone game for Vita was absolutely fantastic. I remember that one.
Yeah. So I don't begrudge them sort of like looking to like broaden their horizons, pun intended, and
Hmm.
go for something bigger. I just feel that like they needed something to really anchor the experience very strongly. And I don't know, maybe they thought that was Aloy. Initially, I thought it was going to be Aloy because the game opens in a lengthy sort of flashback, like prologue, where Aloy actually has a
Mm.
lot of personality. Like, Kid Aloy is a really fun character and really made me
Yeah.
excited to play the game because, like, she's headstrong and, like, inquisitive and is, like, very rebellious in a relatable, understandable kid kind of way.
Hmm.
And then as soon as she grows up, a lot of that goes out the window. You know that classic Red Letter Media bit where they ask people, okay, just describe to me, give me descriptors and adjectives to talk about Han Solo. And people do. They say, like, oh, he's charming, he's roguish, he's, a rascal. And then they ask, okay, now describe Qui-Gon Jinn. And people are like, uh, he's stoic. That's sort of what I've been feeling with
Yeah.
Aloy. Like, child Aloy, rambunctious, energetic, like
Mm.
devil may care, like, wants to be free, doesn't take no for an answer. And then I get to adult Aloy, and I'm like, she's driven.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping that either the sequel fixes this or maybe the DLC can address it because I've been into the DLC for a couple side quests at this point, but I haven't really gotten into a lot of the character and dialogue on that yet. So maybe they sort of have a chance there to experiment and like patch things up a little bit. Like,
which I can't really say because I can't remember a lot of it back then. So
yeah,
I can't really give my opinion on that.
That's fair, yeah. And yeah, like on the PC version, the DLC is all bundled in, but yeah, on the PlayStation, it would have been separate. Well, yeah. I'll keep you all posted. Like, check out Blue Sky. Maybe tune to the next episode. I'll see if I can wrap this game up before then, because it is big. Like, if you do like this game, I want to make clear, if this is the kind of thing you do groove with, wow, is there a lot of it. But to me, the fact that there is a lot of it is kind of not working in its favor, because if it's not really gripping me, then it's just, the longer it goes, the more it sort of like wears out its welcome.
Oh, well, that note, that's going to do it for this episode of the GamePodular Unfocused podcast. I've been your host, Scott. Thank you, Sestra, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. And we'll catch you all on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the GamePodular Unfocused podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes. It really helps us get noticed. You can also listen and subscribe on other podcast services such as Spotify. Make sure to check our other show, Unfocused. Be sure to join our Discord server to interact with the lively GamePodular community. Follow us on Mastodon, Blue Sky, YouTube, Twitch, and at GamePodular.com for updates, news, and other content. Links are in the show notes. If you would like to support our shows, you can buy us a coffee or become a GamePodular Patreon. The details for both are on our website. This episode was edited by myself, and you can follow me on Blue Sky at ScottyJman. You can follow Seskra at Seskra the Spider at bsky.social, albeit at your own risk. Thanks for listening.